I want to talk a bit about the cake. Now, a lot of people have this idea that when another musician is successful, it's a slice of cake that's taken away from them, as if someone else's success takes away from yours. And don't get me wrong, there are absolutely situations where you go head to head with someone else. There are direct situations where there's competition, whether that's getting a gig or making a deal of any sorts. And in those sort of situations, competition is very welcome. You are supposed to execute and deliver to a certain standard so that you can actually not only win the deal, but also up your game. Every competition is a chance to improve on your music. But outside of that, I don't think it's a very useful mentality to think that whenever someone else sees success, that you get bitter and resentful about it and trigger this chain of negativity and pessimism and cynicism. It's really not going to serve you in any way. If you really are an artist, then the entire concept of a cake is ridiculous, because an artist should be building their career on one thing: their unique perspective, their unique style of composing or songwriting and playing and arranging and performance and interpretation. You're supposed to be the best version of you. You're supposed to be competing with yourself. And as I said before, it's not like you're not competing with other people, but other people's success isn't really a reflection of your failure. In some instances, it might show that you have lacking qualities in one of the many things that you do when it comes to music, may that be songwriting or arrangement or recording or performance or instrumental skills, whatever it might be. But when someone sees success, it's because they have discovered how to be successful in being themselves. And that's really what all artists and musicians and bands should be pursuing, in my estimation. Really perfecting their own unique tonal language and their own unique musical tools that they can utilize to enforce and strengthen their own musical language. So when someone else sees success, it's not about thinking how they cut a slice from your cake. It's about making the cake bigger. And you make the cake bigger by doing your own thing. Musicianship and artistry is really an entrepreneurial thing. You're supposed to innovate. You're supposed to create new openings that create more opportunity for monetization, for actually monetizing your craft. The concept is no different from entrepreneurship, and more importantly, it's no different from innovative entrepreneurship. And that's all about creating new opportunities where there were none before. And that's what a great artist does. They make something so new. They make something so innovative that it creates a new opportunity, creates a new opening. And that's how you make the cake bigger. So the cake is a lie. It was not really the type of cake you thought it was. You thought of it as something where you cut a slice and eat it, when your job was really to bake the cake, keep baking the cake, make it bigger and bigger and bigger. All the bitterness and resentment and negativity that comes from the mindset of thinking that other bands, other musicians are slicing pieces from your cake. All of that negativity, it's not serving you in any way. And I understand that sometimes what other musicians make may seem extremely reprehensible to you. It might directly and very strongly go against your values, and you might not see anything good in what they do. You might even think that what they do is harmful in some way. But no matter how reprehensible you find someone's work, or what they stand for, or what kind of a message they spread, it's not going to help you in any way staying bitter and resentful and negative about it. So instead, what I suggest you do is learn from what they're doing. If someone is seeing success, there is a reason for that. Now, the reason might not be musical. Success is often largely about monetization. How can you turn something into something that produces profit? So even if you hate their music, remember that there are many things that play into someone's success. And oftentimes a lot of those qualities have nothing to do with artistry or music. So for example, they might have a brilliant manager. They might have an exceptional marketing strategy. Look at what they're doing from a holistic perspective. There are so many things that play into success, and many of them have nothing to do with artistry or music. So I really encourage you to take everything as a learning opportunity. Try and look for the good. Try and look for the positive. If you can't see it from a value perspective, then try and see it from a practicality perspective. Just because you hate someone's music doesn't mean you can't learn from some other aspect that they are doing right. And I found that looking for the positive, looking for the good, looking for what someone is doing right, it also increases your empathy. And if you really want to change what someone does, something that you find reprehensible, if you really want to change it for the better, I've found that the best way to do it is to try and understand why people do the things that they do and how they do them. And as you try and see it from their perspective, that empathy allows you to understand the big picture better. And who knows, maybe that perspective can help you help them to fix the things that might be reprehensible in your estimation, or the things that they might be doing wrong. Or if you genuinely think there's something they could fix or change or improve on, then I find that the empathy, the understanding is really the best way to get there. People want to feel that they're understood. People want to know that someone's listening. And if your first reaction is, no, that's wrong, you're reprehensible, that's disgusting, you're a piece of shit, that doesn't tend to be the best possible starting point for negotiations or healthy dialogue. And ultimately, just like you wish that people gave you the space and the freedom and the respect to do your own thing, in order to enforce and facilitate that right that you feel like you should have, you need to give other musicians and artists that same right. You need to give them that same understanding and empathy. And although what we do might be widely different, it's still better that we both hold our right and our freedom to make the kind of music that we want. Ideally, you really want to be facilitating an environment where creativity is not only allowed, but valued. I know plenty of people who have seen success in music, and they do very, very different things than what I do. And maybe they make stuff that I don't see much value or purpose in, but someone else's success isn't taken away from mine, because really an artist's or a musician's success should be based on their uniqueness and their own artistry. And the main thing to take away here is to focus on your own game. If you're valuing your success and your career based on other people's standards, then you have no trajectory. What other people are doing should have no bearing on what you're doing unless they are reference points that you want to utilize. And as you really think through what you want your career to look like, then you can map out a plan, a strategy, and then you can actually determine your trajectory. And outside of that plan, what other musicians, what other artists are doing should have no effect on your own execution. It has no bearing on you because they are going to a completely separate destination. If you look at their career and it doesn't align with your goals and your values, then it makes no sense to be bitter and resentful about their success, because they're not even going to the same destination as you are. Every step you take towards someone else's goals that don't matter to you, or every time you stop to throw stones at every dog that barks, you're creating more distance between yourself and the goal that really means something to you. So focus on your own game. Nothing else makes any sense. Focus on the steps that are in front of you. All of us can only ever take the steps that are there for us to take. It doesn't make sense to ponder and contemplate on different trajectories or different alternative realities. They're not taking you forward. That's time you could be spending working on the things that are right in front of you. And the way to steer away from the bitterness, the resentment, the negativity, the cynicism is to know what you're supposed to be doing right now and focus on those tasks. And when you do that, you can see that the cake is a lie. The cake isn't the type of cake you thought it was. But the cake isn't about trying to grab as big of a slice as you possibly can. It's about being a baker. It's about making that cake bigger and bigger. And as you do that, you see that the only thing that makes sense is focusing on your own thing, and that other people's success isn't taken away from yours. So be a baker. Finished.